Hey there, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate you being here. So in my previous video live stream, I shared that I was going to talk about the state of the U.S. financial institution right now, and well, we need to wait till March's inflation numbers come out. So I'm going to postpone that another week. Also, the mayoral debate for the Republican candidates for mayor of Carmel just happened on Tuesday. So I figured probably better talk about that instead. So here we go. I was there, and the auditorium of 15 to 1,600 people, it was mostly full. So I'm going to guess about 1,200 people were there. Also, I checked out the live stream, and it looked like it has 800 views on it so far. So about 2,000 people saw it, which honestly was a little bit higher of a turnout than I was expecting. I I thought it'd be a little bit lower than that, but yeah, it's good to see such a good showing. Of the candidates, it was Sue Finkham, Fred Glenn, and then Woody or Kevin Ryder from left to right. And yeah, I thought it was actually pretty good. I would say biggest standout would be Fred Glenn. He's, in my opinion, I think very much the underdog in this particular campaign. Woody is clearly the standout in this particular campaign, and Sue is, I think, kind of lost in the noise. And I think as far as this debate went, I think there was an even shift of all three of those. I think Fred had the best show out. I thought he did the best on the debate stage. I thought Sue, she had a lot of very political answers. So she was very much the polished politician, didn't say anything too outlandish. Hey, Ryan, how's it going? And Woody, Kevin, I thought he did not have a good night. That was definitely not his night. He definitely struggled a little bit. There's one particular question that was brutal. There's a phenomenon where you can see somebody go through something that's painfully embarrassing, and then you physically feel embarrassed on their behalf. And this was one of those moments. The question that came out was, does your campaign receive any money from any developers in the city of Carmel, or take any money from people from corporations that do, or not corporations, that's different terminology. An LLC basically is what they're getting at. They didn't say LLC, but anyway, so companies that do business in Carmel with the city of Carmel, have you received campaign funding? Obviously Fred Glenn, he jumped in the race pretty late. He's also not as deep into Carmel politics as Sue and Woody are. Oh, nice. So he had a comment of like, absolutely not, don't take any money. My campaign will never accept money, which is admirable. I don't know if many of those companies would give him money anyway, but it was still a good and honest answer. Sue came out like, well, honestly, it's not much. I wish I had more. And then Woody, oh my gosh, he dodged that question so hard. That was the most animated he was the entire debate. He was mostly very calm, reserved, but he was animated about like, oh, you know, I do a lot of business in this city, and if anybody ever meets up for breakfast or whatever, I always pay for the breakfast. I always pay for the dinner. It's known. I've never let anybody buy me anything, and I'll walk out. And did not answer the question. So clearly he's received a ton of funding from these entities. And I think everybody kind of knew that, but to watch him get put on the spot like that, it was hard to watch. I genuinely felt bad for him. But as far as the rest of the topics, a lot of the candidates had a lot of the same things to say over and over again. Kevin, kept talking about how he's been really committed, really involved with the community. He gave some examples of this, that, and the other that he did in specific cases and instances. But for the most part, he and Sue were both along the same page of forward progression, forward growth. We'll continue building Carmel. We'll continue to spend more and improve the quality of life. That's something that both said quite a lot. And that does not surprise me at all. Like, after reviewing where they stand on things on their websites or campaign websites, I kind of gathered that was the direction that they're heading. So they're pretty closely in line with what they want. Sue has a slightly different take on that. She has more of a, from what I gather, like a public safety. So I think she just recently won the nomination. Actually, I don't think she did. It was announced in the debate, but she won the backing of the Carmel City Fire Department and Police Department, their fraternities. So she won their backing. Their unions are basically, they're all going to vote for Sue Finkman in this particular midterm election. So her stance was big on public safety, and artwork. That seemed to be the big things that she was pushing. Woody was a lot more about commercial development, and then Fred Glenn, he was all about stop spending so much money and let's focus on the greenery. My take is a little different from all of them, but I'm way more in line with Fred Glenn. I'm much more along his lines. If you're familiar with the channel or me and my stance on everything, it's very much spend less money. The debt that we have is pretty outrageous. Granted, most of it is wrapped up in a TIF program, so it's not immediately demanding. But the TIF program tax money is, I don't guess. It's basically contingent upon the idea that over the next 25 years, or over the course of the 25 years of that particular TIF, there's anticipated a growth in revenue, in the tax revenue, as a direct result of that TIF. So that's why there's a lot of mixed purpose buildings. Basically, it's a 5-story building. The first floor is a business, and then the upper floors are all residential, like renting. One of the big topics that came up was such a strong push for apartments and vertical growth, and there's steering away from single-family houses, which is something that I could have told them. I mean, I knew that. Just that seemed to be pretty apparent, pretty well-known and easy to convey. So they seemed like they were kind of surprised when they were learning this information by knocking on doors. By the way, it didn't sound like they knocked on a lot of doors. None of the three of them, but it sounds like all three of them have knocked doors at some capacity. I think Woody probably went out for an afternoon, probably just knocked a few doors. I'm imagining that Sue and Woody are probably hiring people to go knock doors for them. Sue announced that she broke a record for the amount of money that a mayoral candidate has raised. So I'm guessing her money is going to pay door knockers. I know Woody, it's weird. I've seen a lot of Fred Glenn's advertisements, his emails, text messages. I've got nothing from Sue or Woody. I've seen a cluster of yard signs from Woody in one roundabout, and that was about it. But yeah, it's weird. I haven't seen or heard much from any of the candidates. They're raising like $500,000. I'm not seeing the result of any of it. It's weird. So anyway, so another thing I noticed about the debate was except for Fred Glenn, it was surprisingly friendly. They were not going at each other's throats. They were not digging up a bunch of dirt. No zingers or gotchas or what about this, which I definitely expected. I thought there was going to be a lot of that, and there wasn't. It was actually really civil. In fact, to Woody's credit, I will give this to Woody's credit. He said, I'm running a positive campaign, and I'm going to continue to do that. And I definitely thought he was the type to throw dirt. I thought he was going to dig in deep and get nasty and say all kinds of nasty things about people, but that was farthest thing from the case, and genuinely applaud him for that. I commend him well. So that was actually really encouraging to see, really encouraging to hear. But yeah, as far as the debate goes, I thought it was pretty good. Most of them were just kind of saying the same things over and over again. Each question was obviously very different, but their overall styling and what they're going for was mostly the same. So you can catch a live stream of that. I think I'll go ahead and link it in the description if you want to watch that for yourself. I don't think it really kicked off for a while. It was about in the 10-minute mark. So about around the 10-minute mark is when it actually started, if you want to see that for yourself. But anyway, that's all I've got. So really appreciate you stopping in. Please leave a comment on other things you'd like to see this channel do moving forward. I'm still waiting to hear if you want to see a follow-up on the Niflheim. That's the last chance. If you want to see that video, you got to comment on this one that you want to see the Niflheim video. But other than that, it's not that big a deal. It's just more of an entertaining thing. But yeah, please live show. Please leave a like. I also do appreciate those things, as is the YouTube algorithm. But hey, that's all I've got. Really appreciate you stopping by. Stay classy, and as